A major winter storm is about to unleash, and another powerful winter storm is coming this weekend, which will disrupt your Thanksgiving plans. A ton of snow is expected across the Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and Northeast over the next 7 days, with some areas picking up as much as 3 feet of snow. Widespread totals of 6 to 12 inches of snow are likely across several other states, and there's also another chance for severe weather around Thanksgiving. This weather pattern is about to get very active as several major weather ingredients are coming together at the same time. A surge of bitter cold is colliding with multiple storm systems, and depending on how these elements interact, we could see very different outcomes over the next few days. Any shift in the jet stream, even a small one, will determine who gets buried in snow, who deals with thunderstorms, and where the biggest travel disruptions develop during one of the busiest weeks of the year. So in this forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about these 2 different winter storms that'll cause disruptions right around Thanksgiving. We are going to begin by talking about the most important thing in our weather pattern, and that is the jet stream. This is what's going to control our weather pattern across the United States for the next 7 to 10 days. And right now, we already have a big dip in our jet stream all across the United States, and this is essentially a very strong cold front that is making its way along the East Coast, and things are going to cool down dramatically over the next 24 hours, right in time for Thanksgiving. On the other hand, we have a big low pressure system that is currently located over the Great Lakes, and this is dumping tons of snowfall right now across areas like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Some areas will pick up as much as 3 feet of snow just over the next 24 hours, which is absolutely insane. As we go into Thursday into Friday, that dip in the jet stream is only going to get larger. So some of the coldest air of the season is going to make its way into the Ohio Valley and the Southeast late Thursday into early Friday. And then by Saturday and Sunday, look at this. We got another big storm system that is actually going to make its way across the Central Plains and the Midwest. And this right here will be our next winter storm, and I expect the snowfall to be a lot more widespread out of this. I don't think we're going to see 3 feet of snowfall. However, I think a widespread 6 to 12 inches of snow is definitely in play for areas like Chicago, even back over northern Missouri, Michigan, northern Ohio, Indiana. A lot of areas are likely going to see snowfall this weekend out of this next winter storm. And then by early next week, we're going to continue to see a big dip in our jet stream all across the Great Plains, the Southeast, the East Coast. This is going to leave below average temperatures really residing across the entire country for the entire first week of December. So a pretty cold stretch of weather is coming, and on top of that, we have plenty of snow chances and maybe even some severe weather to go along with that. Now let's talk more about these 2 winter storms that are going to be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, beginning with the one that is impacting a lot of you today. We currently have a lot of heavy snowfall falling across the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and Wisconsin. There are actually blizzard warnings in effect across the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, as we are forecasting upwards of 2 to 3 feet of snow, and then on top of that, wind gusts are up to 50 miles per hour right now. Later this afternoon, that snow is just going to continue to fall, and unfortunately, lake effect snow is going to become a big concern late today and into Thanksgiving, which is only going to increase the snow totals, especially in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and even across western Michigan. Lots of moisture, and on top of that, the water temperatures in the lakes are still very warm, so this is a very favorable environment still for lake effect snow. And then Thanksgiving morning, we're going to continue to see some pretty heavy snowfall, especially in western New York, even parts of Pennsylvania, and all across Michigan still. There will be lake effect snow all day Thursday as well across Michigan. And then as we go into Friday, things will start to wind down, but it's still going to be snowing quite a bit back over in Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. And then by Friday night, look at this over here in the northern plains. This is going to be the beginning of our next winter storm, which I think is going to be even bigger in terms of size across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. But on top of that, there's going to be a lot more people that are impacted by this, especially with Thanksgiving plans. We are talking about big disruptions right after Thanksgiving if you are traveling on Saturday anywhere in the Midwest. So big heads up. If you have any travel plans Saturday, there are going to be problems in the Midwest. So let's talk more in depth about this winter storm that is coming this weekend, and then we'll talk more about the snow accumulation. This is what it looks like Friday afternoon and evening. We are going to have a large area of light to moderate snowfall draping the northern plains, areas like Minnesota and Iowa. We'll begin to see snowfall by the late evening on Friday, but things are really going to be the worst on Saturday. So if you are traveling back from Thanksgiving on Friday, I don't really have that many concerns. I think Saturday is really the day that you need to be paying very close attention to, because this is when a lot of the snow is going to be falling, and this is when travel impacts will be the most significant. By early Saturday morning, this right around 9 to 10 o'clock, we're going to have a lot of snow falling across the northern plains in the Midwest, but most notably, moderate to heavy snowfall is likely across Illinois, Iowa, and even eastern Missouri, southwestern Wisconsin, southeast Minnesota, and this does does include areas like St. Louis. So get ready for the possibility of heavy snowfall Saturday morning, and this is only going to intensify throughout the daytime on Saturday as our low pressure system is deepening, which means intensifying across the Midwest. So get ready for heavy snowfall anywhere from Michigan all the way back through Nebraska Saturday afternoon. By Saturday evening, the worst of the snow is going to be located across Wisconsin, Illinois, northern Indiana, northwest Ohio, and a large chunk of Michigan. And we will be watching for isolated severe weather Saturday afternoon and into the early evening, mainly across Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Missouri. Isolated wind and hail threat, maybe an isolated tornado being possible. Sunday morning, all that snow is going to be falling across Michigan and also areas in the Northeast. And then as we go into early Monday, this storm system moves out. And then by the beginning of next week, we will likely see another storm system, perhaps another winter storm, but it's too early to tell exactly what will happen here. But I do think some more light snowfall is possible from Texas all the way back into Michigan on Monday and Tuesday, and maybe even some ice is a possibility. But again, I don't know where that's going to happen yet, but the next storm system early next week may cause some problems as well. But exactly how much snow comes out of it and if we'll see ice, that's all to be determined. Let's get through this next winter storm first, or really these first two winter storms first, as we are going into a very active weather pattern when it comes to wintry weather across the United States. Now, in terms of total snowfall accumulation, we will begin with the Midwest. This is the snowfall that we're expecting over the next 24 to 48 hours. And overall, we are talking about, again, a ton of snow in northern Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, widespread 1 to 2 feet on top of what we saw also last night and even this morning, which was at least a few inches. And in areas like western Michigan, a widespread 3 to 6 inches of snow is likely, but I do think there will be plenty of localized areas that get closer to 1 to maybe even 1.5 feet of snowfall. So big snow is on the horizon. And then as we go into the weekend, we are talking about a big snowfall potential across the Midwest. I do think a widespread 6 to 12 inches of snow in Iowa, Wisconsin, even Michigan is all very likely. And again, this is all the snow that will be coming out of our winter storm on Saturday. So this is completely different than what's happening today. A lot of these areas are only dealing with rain. It's going to be different though on Saturday. Get your snow shovels ready, get those winter jackets ready. I would expect a good amount of snowfall here across the Midwest this weekend. Even though this is going to be a pretty quick moving system, it is going to dump a decent amount of snowfall. And then zooming out for our snowfall accumulation through Saturday and Sunday, this is a general idea of what we can expect. Again, the most significant snow is currently forecasted to happen across the Midwest and the Great Lakes. We'll have a little bit of snow back over North and South Dakota, but it's really not much to write home about. And then as we go into early next week, things get a lot more uncertain, but I do think there's at least a possibility of snowfall across areas like Oklahoma, Kansas, and the Texas Panhandle. The National Weather Service of Norman also pointed out that yes, we could see some heavy wintry precipitation early next week. It's just a little too early to tell what's exactly going to happen. It's a very 50-50 scenario as of right now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for the latest updates on that winter storm, and on top of that, the winter storm that's coming up this weekend. Now back over in the Northeast, including the Lakes regions, this is where we're expecting the most snowfall. So through Friday, we're expecting a widespread 3 to 12 inches of snow right along Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, and some localized areas in far western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania could easily be over 1 foot of snowfall through Friday. And then as we go into the weekend, a little bit more snowfall is going to be possible, but that'll be primarily across upstate New York and again near the Lakes regions. And then early next week, we may see some snowfall in New England. It's just too early to tell what's exactly going to happen with that storm system on Tuesday. But I'll tell you what, guys, I do think there's a pretty good chance of a live stream on Saturday for a winter storm, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'll have upwards of a dozen live storm chasers and over 100 live cameras all across the Midwest, giving you every angle to this winter storm. So make sure you subscribe. Click the bell icon so you're notified as well, so you know when we go live on Saturday. I think it's very likely we'll have our first of many winter storm streams this weekend. And another big thing that we have to talk about are the temperatures over the next 7 to 10 days. We are going to have multiple shots of cold air. Our first big one comes over the next couple of days. This is today into tomorrow. A lot of cold air is going to filter into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, and it's only going to get stronger as we go into late Thursday and Friday along the East Coast, with temperatures upwards of 10 to 20 degrees below average all up and down the East Coast on Friday. So pretty chilly days ahead. Even areas in Florida will have low temperatures down into the 30s and 40s once again, which is pretty cold. And then a much more significant shot of cold air will arrive this weekend right behind that big winter storm, which is going to drop temperatures widespread around 15 to 20 degrees below average for most of the Midwest and the central and northern plains. The worst of this will be felt on Sunday. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that cold air will linger across much of the country, especially since we will likely see another storm system line up near our battle zone, which is the colliding of our warm and cold air masses Monday and Tuesday. And this will likely set the stage for a little bit of wintry precipitation. Again, I think that'll happen anywhere from Texas all the way back into Ohio and New York on Monday and Tuesday. Once we get get closer, we'll know more details about this, but it at least appears possible that our first wintry weather from Texas, even back into Kentucky and Tennessee, will happen sometime around the beginning of next week. And I'm not talking just about snow flurries. I'm talking about a possibility of even a little bit of accumulation and maybe even a little bit of ice accumulation as well. And then by the middle and end of next week, things get a lot more uncertain. We could go back to seeing some above average temperatures, or we may see another shot or two of cold air, along with maybe even more wintry weather events. And just a heads up, these are the high temperatures for Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, to all of you out there. We're going to be talking about 20s and 30s across the Midwest, the Northern Plains, Ohio Valley as well. Back down on the Gulf Coast, 60s and 70s, so pretty nice weather overall. But again, we're going to have some pretty cold air as we go into Friday and Saturday, so things are only going to get colder as we go into this weekend. And this is a quick look at the temperatures when you wake up tomorrow morning, and yes, it is going to be cold. And also, we have a huge announcement. Cheese Curd merch is now out at shopmaxvelocity.net. Yes, this is my cat. It is an incredible design. We have t-shirts and a lot of other stuff available for this collection. If you have any recommendations as well, let me know down in the comments below. But again, we have a lot of stuff at our store. We have a Black Friday sale going on. It's $5 off, $50 or more with code Black Friday at checkout. We have our Happy Holidays merch also out. We have our Supercell collection and a lot of other phenomenal stuff. This is one of the best ways to support what we do here on this channel, so make sure to check this out at shopmaxvelocity.net or the top link in the description below. Thank you guys all again so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and we'll see you guys all again in the next video, which should be tomorrow.